I want to tell you that this is the first time that I decided that I'm gonna dress for the guest. For those of you who are watching, you will see that I'm wearing this like super bright dress full of colors. I'm also wearing a different kind of earrings that are like they're
Oh
colorful.
yes, you don't have on your
I
yellow
don't have my
birdie
earrings
earrings.
on today because
Yeah.
I thought that, yeah, birds make me very, very happy in every shape, color, definition.
Yes,
But I
I
thought
love
I
it.
would dress for the guest because you're all color for me
Oh,
and you're all kinds of colors.
oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
I was hard pressed to find something that for me represents in clothes how I see you, and that's how I see you.
I love
All colors.
that.
And I'm
Oh,
wearing a dress. I usually wear, slacks and for interviews. And today I'm
yes,
wearing a dress.
you're
And
the
that's
sweetest.
freedom, right? I feel you're one of those people that, for those of you who are listening, you really need to see the video portion of this because you have to see Mina.
Olga.
If I hadn't seen Mina on camera in one of those trainings that I was doing, I was like, who is that person? Because she was so animated and she was so full of life and engagement.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm like,
Yeah,
you're either gonna make me cry or start blushing or both.
crying is fine. Crying is fine.
You're the
We can cry.
sweetest. Oh
I
my
can cry with you.
gosh.
Like,
Well, I have to say right back at you because I'm wearing my yellow spring dress for you because you're yellow birdie. So I thought I am going to dress for Olga in my yellow dress. So we were on the same vibe. Yeah, I love color. What I love is I love the freshness of white, but pops of color. So all my walls are completely white in the house, but I have pops of color all over that it just like, color's happy. It makes me happy. So yeah.
talking about happy, you're one of the happiest people I know. And I know it's not always happy for you.
No, it is not.
Either at a certain point in your life you chose happy and you made very intentional choices on how to get happy and
Yeah.
stay happy, and
Yes,
life
ma'am.
life is not always happy. Now people ask me, as far as yesterday, like, why are you so happy? I'm like, no, I'm not. I try to
No.
engage with people on the happy level because you give
Yes.
energy and you lift people up, and it's just
Of
fair.
course. Yes.
I was just watching you on your About Me, which I so encourage everyone to see on Instagram. And you're
Oh,
dancing.
yes, that is my thing. Well, I will tell you. Okay, let me just share two things about happy. No, my life has been like literally from the get-go a roller coaster ride. And when I say get-go, I'm talking like a child. And I won't get into the whole lifespan, but I lost my dad when I was 2 years old. And so my mom became my mom and my dad. And he was in a very bad car accident. He was touring in the United States. We were in the Philippines and he was hit by a teenage drunk driver. And so we lost him, but my mom brought our whole family here to the States because she wanted more opportunities for us. And I actually believe this, Olga, the happy strand was factory installed in my DNA. I do. I mean, like, I don't ever say that, but I think that contributed to what helped me get through a lot of really rough times, because of all of the struggles in life. I've been married twice and have four sons, right? We're all grown up now.
I'm sorry,
And
I'm gonna giggle here. I apologize.
it's
Just
okay.
said, despite all the struggles in life, you go straight to the marriages. I'm with you,
Oh,
Mina. I'm
yeah,
with you.
yeah, yeah. So I was married twice. And the first marriage, we were married for 18 years. We had four boys, four amazing, amazing boys. And they're all half Italian. So their names are Matteo, Massimo, Marcello, and Marco.
Oh,
And the beautiful thing is the four of them, we have a restaurant. It's called Osteria Fazzulo, and it's in Davis. And all four of them work there. So they're all with their dad. And the marriage was bumpy. I was young, and that's a whole nother story. Ended up getting a divorce after 18 years. And I ended up marrying my bodyguard. Um, when the divorce ended, so there's a connection between the ending of the first marriage and the second marriage. And Nate, his name's Nate, and I were married for 17 years.
Wow.
And that marriage just ended up, going in separate directions. The beautiful part, and I share this because both were a struggle to maintain because I was very busy in my first marriage with a very, very busy career that had me traveling all over the country. And my husband then, Leonardo, became a stay at home dad. And he was in the restaurant industry all his life. So we opened Osteria together and didn't work out for a whole host of reasons. But I share this with you because it goes back to the happy. I worked really, really hard after the first marriage ended. And then the second marriage ended, really reflecting in myself. Like I felt like I failed. I thought, what is it about me? What did I do wrong? And I realized that as much as I didn't want end the marriage, I also knew in my heart that a hardened heart, once off, you can't. You just, and I'm sounding so choppy because the beautiful thing is I have an amazing relationship with both of them. They're my best friends. Like my first husband, he's my homie. We talk every day. I mean, he is, it's crazy. I love him to bits. And we just had this past Christmas, a family Christmas together. And it was 18 years since we'd done that.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was like a new tradition for us. And we did it because I so wanted our boys to see that forgiveness is real. It's real. We were very broken, but we found ways to make it all okay. And so we had Christmas together, the six of us, and our grandson was here. So it was phenomenal to see that come full circle. And, I just want peace. I want peace in my life. And the only way you get that is if you go after it and then make it real and make it happen. So, yes, you see me happy because I am so grateful. And I think aside from happy, it's more joy because I have so much joy that I get to have another day. I'm like really grateful for that with everything that has happened in life. Because, honey, the road has been bumpy, but you get a choice every morning. You really do. You get a choice. Are you going to be miserable and negative and sad and scarred? Or are you going to be okay with everything? Because all of that, all of those dots connected me to who I am today. And I really love life. I love life with all my heart.
You mentioned that happiness is in your DNA.
Yeah.
And that it's been a bumpy road, and you're in a beautiful place now with your ex-husbands now who are your friends. So a lot of people don't have this experience. A lot of people have leftover bitterness and frustration. They would rather have those people out of their lives completely and move on. But of course,
Sure.
and
Yes.
it seems that I don't know, I'm sure there was bitterness. I'm sure there was anger
Oh,
and difficult moments. So how did you overcome it?
oh, it took so much time because there really has been transformation. I didn't know what the future held, and I had my four babies to think about. So I ended up having to have a bodyguard. I had a bodyguard assigned to me by my former boss, who was a state senator. So Nate became my bodyguard and protected me during that entire time. And we ended up falling in love and getting married, and he was there for my babies. That's another story for another time. That part of the marriage, you asked a question like, there's a lot of people who can't let go and who experience all those things. And it's not an easy answer because I know that everyone's situation is very different. I know because both of my marriages were very, very different. But the one thing, and I mean this to my very core, is when you understand, truly understand forgiveness, you're not just forgiving them, you're forgiving you. Because I beat myself up so much for both. But when you can truly, genuinely, and it's not just a word, I don't know if it's spiritual, you just feel it in your fiber, you feel it in your being, what forgiveness is. And when you can do that, forgiveness is so freaking liberating and you're able to move on. It takes time. I had to forgive over and over and over again. It wasn't just a one-time thing because then your mind reminds you, oh, he used to do this to you, he used to say this to you. Mm. Why do you hang on to that? Yeah, you literally have to stop living in the past, present. You have to live in the present, future, because there's such a beautiful life out there that you discover when you don't hang on to those things, you know? So it's worked for me because it's got to work both ways, you know, because I could forgive all I want. But if the other party isn't willing to have a relationship, still a bond, then you have to still move on and keep finding all the light because there's so much light out there. And Olga, you know, I lived in a lot of darkness. I went through depression and my kids didn't recognize me for a long, long, long period of time. I mean, deep, dark depression. But I discovered having come out of that, that nothing ever good grows in darkness. And that's why you see me happy now because I lived that.
You're a dancing chef.
Yes, yes.
You're arriving at being a dancing chef. I mean, when I saw you dance, I'm like, this is so cool. And it just brings a smile onto my face whenever I see it. And you're just doing the greatest, most beautiful things.
Olga.
How did you get there?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We're jumping a big chunk of time.
Yes, we are. Okay. Yes, because it's really what I do. It's where I am now. I am actually called the Graves' disease chef, or some call me the Graves' disease dancing chef. And it's because I talk about roller coaster. I went down, I hit hard because I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease called Graves' disease. For your viewers who may not know what Graves' disease is, it's a form of hyperthyroidism. What basically happens with Graves' disease is your immune system, which is supposed to protect you from illnesses and viruses, starts to go wacko for some reason. It's just going wackadoodle. And your thyroid thinks it's under attack. So your thyroid begins to overproduce thyroid hormone and your body just it goes nuts. And the symptoms, really quick, this is basically what happens. You rapidly start losing weight, unhealthy. In 2 weeks, I lost almost 20 pounds. Wow. Okay. Yeah, because your hormones, it controls your metabolism and vital organs in your body. So your body is just on hyper. Everything is just going. So you start losing hair. I lost so much hair. I was balding back here. I'd lost incredible amounts of hair, like by the bunches. It was just falling out. You don't even want to touch your hair because you're afraid. You end up with severe anxiety. You get panic attacks. You go into depression because it's your hormones. You have no libido at all. You're having heart palpitations. So your heart is beating rapidly. You get hand tremors and your high blood pressure spikes, even though you're doing absolutely nothing. You're sitting still. There's about 12 very direct symptoms. But here's the worst part of all with Graves' disease. Those symptoms were happening all at the same time. So I couldn't get out of bed for the first month. I didn't know what was wrong with me at all.
It just hit you?
Oh,
Or
yes, yes, yes. It just bam. It didn't slowly come on with me. It's different for different patients. What's wild is the month before I had just had my physical, and I was in great shape, strong, healthy. Everything was good. We had my labs done. It was my annual physical. So my doctor, a month later, to the month, it was Cinco de Mayo. I still remember this. And I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. I was like, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel like this? And all these different things were happening. So I finally went to see the doctor because nothing was happening. And he was actually very shocked to see I couldn't. My husband had to help me on the examination table. He had to help me lay back to be examined. And when we were done, he had to sit me back up because I had no, it was bad. It was really bad. And the doctor is crazy. My primary care doctor said, I think you have the flu.
oh my gosh.
And I said, I don't have the flu. This isn't the flu. I don't even have a fever. And he was completely stumped. He didn't know. He did not know what was wrong with me, even though I was telling him, because they weigh you when you go to the doctor. And he said, you've lost 17 pounds since I last saw you. And he could see that I was completely out of it. And so we began to just have a conversation. And we started talking about my family history. And usually, as you know, when they ask you your family history on those charts, they only ask about your grandparents or your parents. They don't really talk about siblings. So I said to him, my older sister, she's 5 years older than me, was diagnosed with something called Graves' disease, but years ago. And he goes, Graves? And I said, yeah, she has Graves' disease. They took out her thyroid and she had to undergo radiation. So I don't know. And he goes, come to think of it, you are exhibiting those symptoms.
Wow.
And I go, oh no, because I saw what it did to my sister. She chose traditional Western medicine. And again, she was diagnosed long before I was. So she had been diagnosed probably like 5 to 7 years before I got diagnosed. So also in her 50s, right? I was almost 51 when I got diagnosed. And he said, we're going to run some labs. So they did. And then he said, and I'm sending you to an endocrinologist. So here's what happened. I went to the endocrinologist. I did. It was positive. My numbers were through the roof. I was in horrible shape. So the doctor said, we're going to try to stabilize your body. So they put me on anti-thyroid medication. They put me on beta blockers to calm my heart because literally I was having panic attacks. They tried to put me on antidepressants. I said, no, 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 no. I've done that road. I do not want that. And she said, okay, well, you're going to need to really learn to try to relax because your body is in motion and it's not slowing down. And then we're going to need to begin radiation treatment to shrink your thyroid. And then following that, you're going to need to decide because we're going to need you to do surgery to remove your thyroid. And Olga, here's the thing. And this was so key. I found out because I started researching after I went to Dr. Google and just try to get to the bottom of what Graves' disease is. There's not a lot of information out there, especially natural, healthy, holistic ways to get better like that. Okay, zero to nothing. But what I did discover is that your thyroid isn't even the problem. And yet they want to take it out. Why are you wanting to remove my thyroid and then put me on this? Because this is the protocol. You get your thyroid taken out, and then you get put on synthetic thyroid. So it's lab created thyroid hormone for the rest of your life.
Wow.
You no longer have your thyroid. So you basically are medicated for life, like my sister. If she misses her medication, or if there's an emergency and she cannot get to her medication, this is going to sound so harsh, but she dies because the thyroid hormone controls our vital organs, our lungs, our heart, our metabolism. And a lot of people don't get told that, unless you actually start researching to figure all of this out. So when I learned that, I thought, oh, heck no, I'm not going to do either of those. I want my thyroid. I was given my thyroid for a reason. It serves a very vital function. And so that began my quest, my journey to figure out what are the natural modalities that are out there. And there was nothing to tell me, nothing. And I ended up a year later, because I couldn't deal with it anymore. I was sick and tired of feeling so sick and tired all the time. And that sounds so cliche, but I was done. And the medication that I got put on 3 weeks into it, I broke out in a horrible rash all over my lower extremities. It was so bad. I had welts all over my legs and just the lower part of the body. And I thought, this is toxic. It's poison, what you're giving me. My body doesn't want this. And then a year later, she put me on a different medication, which is damaging to your liver. So I ended up doing a lot of research, looking under rocks, everything. And I went plant-based and changed my whole lifestyle completely. I mean, I don't know, what is that? 180 degrees, 360 degrees, whatever the degrees are, that's right. I made a complete lifestyle change, and it wasn't just diet. And my numbers started getting better. And the doctor said, I don't know what you're doing. And I said, I gave up meat. I'm completely plant-based. And she said, nope, that has nothing to do with it. Nothing. And I said, okay, then what do you attribute it to? And she says, I don't know, but it's not diet. Diet has nothing to do with it. It had everything to do with it. Everything. And so the reason, full circle, the reason why you see me dancing all the time and cooking and sharing cooking demos is because there was a time I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. And so now I share that you can actually become your own health boss, your own health advocate, and you can get to the other side. It's work. It's a lot of work. It did not come easy, and I never ever pretend that it was easy. It was years and years and years of testing and perfecting and just really figuring it out. But I took the guesswork out.
So it took years and years of hard work and patience and resilience and perseverance and research and trial and error. And now you have 2 beautiful books.
Oh, yeah.
They're so beautiful. I've not seen them in person. I've only seen them digitally, and they are fabulous. And I love the butterflies. I mean, unbelievable.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't going to bring them up because I never like to sound salesy.
You're not salesy. I brought them up, number 1. And number 2, this is not something that you sell. This is something that you created from the bottom of your heart through all the hard work, the trial and error. And what you put together is to help other people. And what I really picked up from the book, I love cookbooks. They're cookbooks that are like with recipes and gonna, I mean, maybe, but no. And they're cookbooks that are just lovely to spend time with. Like you created something, you put your heart and soul and hard work and experience into this book and tried every single recipe. Talk to me about you talked a little bit about the journey. So where you started through research, and then
I did.
Wasn't there, and the medication was not having a good effect, and it sounds like the doctor was not the right match.
No, unfortunately not. I wanted to still decide my fate, if you will, with regard to Graves' disease. But with the books, the reason for the butterfly is because that is considered the shape of the thyroid is the shape of a butterfly.
Wow.
And if you ever, looked at it, that's what the organ is, the shape of. Um, I actually feel very much as though when I began the Graves' disease journey, that I was the caterpillar. I'm trying to figure out my way through this, if we were to use a metaphor, this new autoimmune condition, disorder, as it's often called.
Mhm.
And when I went into my chrysalis, is when I did all my research and really digging deep and finding out through all the trial and error, oh, that didn't work. Oh, this works. And when I say that and this, I'm talking about things like the little things you'd find on Dr. Google were cutting out gluten, cutting out dairy, cutting out soy, stop drinking caffeine, those kind of things. Yes, those are all very important, but it goes even deeper than that. And I talk about it in here in my Graves' disease guidebook. I talk about not just cutting these things out or eliminating them, but the why, because there's science behind it. It's not just me saying, oh, yeah, you got to cut out gluten, but yeah, but why? So, or no more dairy. There's a reason for it because, again, the thyroid isn't the problem. It's your microbiome, it's your gut, it's the inflammation that's happening in your body that's causing all of these problems, and your thyroid's responding because that's its job, because your immune system isn't working. So I try to get to the core, and in here it's actually called, because I was told there was no other way. I was told it was either surgery and radiation. That's it. This is called There Had to Be Another Way. Things you didn't know you could do for Graves' disease. And there's over 30 things in here that actually tell you. And I had already been cooking healthy. I thought was healthy. When we ate meat, it was always organic meat, organic chicken, pasture raised eggs, wild caught seafood. That was my diet before, but clearly that wasn't cutting it. And so that's when I began experimenting in the kitchen because my youngest son, Marco, was vegan. He's still vegan. And he used to say to me, now, mind you, he would have been in his early 20s, might have been late teens. He said, Mama, when you stop eating bleep, you'll stop feeling like bleep. And I was offended. I was so offended. And I said, you know what? Please don't say that because I don't eat like that. I eat so healthy. I eat organic because no, Mama, it's the meats and the chickens and the pork and those things. You got to stop that because your body doesn't like it. When are you going to figure that out? And that hurt. And then I thought, okay, you are really wise because look at you, you healthy little thing. So one day, I'll never forget, it was April 1st, 2016, a year after I had been diagnosed. I said, okay, I'm going to listen to Marco because what have I got to lose? If it doesn't work, if it doesn't help, I'll just go right back to the way it was. And I have never gone back. And I wrote this, The Graves' Disease Chef, How to Master Simple to Gourmet Plant-Based Recipes and Flavors from Around the World. I actually ended up developing over 800 plant-based recipes.
Wow.
And only 77, not only, but 77 of my favorites, of our family favorites, made it into the first edition.
Incredible. Mina.
It worked because I just love life. And I'm thankful. I'm so grateful for life. I'm still here because the doctor told me if I did not do what she was not just suggesting, but highly recommending that I remove my thyroid, she basically told me that I would end up with a thyroid storm in the hospital and probably not make it. I was in that bad of a shape. And I did. I got to the other side.
Just make it. Again, for anyone who has access to Instagram, or that's where I watch Mina, especially when I'm not feeling my happiest. I just go to me because you are so full of glitter. But just this incredible thing that you've accomplished. Again, you didn't just get to the other side. You're doing amazing things with grace, with glitter, with laughter, with and you share with the world. And I know that, plant-based is probably not an option for me, but you now inspired me, and I will now look at your book and your 77. I love the number recipes.
I
And
love that.
it's so interesting that you say your son was vegan. One of my sons chooses to be
Yes.
vegetarian. And
Yes.
it's
Yes.
his choice. It's
I
very
love that.
yeah.
I
So it's
love that.
and I keep like trying to push meat on him every now and then.
And he's like, no, mama, no.
No, it's just not. It's just
Wow.
really
I
interesting.
love that. My grandson, same, who I'm going to see tonight, and my oldest is vegetarian. And so I love it because I cook the way I cook. They can't believe that there's no meat. People who actually do have the cookbook are shocked because you actually think there's meat. And I don't have anything against meat. I love meat. I was a meat and potatoes girl. I am not kidding. Hands down. I loved my meat. I love my pork carnitas burritos, you know, put some grilled chicken on the Barbie or wings, hot wings. All of that, girlfriend, I was all that. But I also knew that I needed to give my body what it needed. So this cookbook is absolutely a labor of love. And it's international flavors from around the world. So we go to Vietnam, we go to
I love
Thailand,
that.
we go to many countries in Asia. There's a Russian recipe in there, beef stroganoff,
Oh,
right? There's American, there's Moroccan, there's Indian. So it's a little international trip around the world.
if you were to just wish something onto the listeners and the viewers, one wish or three wishes.
That's a really lovely question. I like that. Thank you. The first wish is I wish you to do this exercise. I do this every morning. I sit down before my day gets started and I write three things I'm truly grateful for at the moment that I'm writing. And then I write three things that I want to accomplish for the day. And it could be anything. What are those three things? Like you asked me three wishes for everyone to start doing. It actually changes your whole outlook on your day because you kind of have a mission for the day and you start off the day with gratitude. And then the second wish, practice forgiveness. It's so powerful. I'm like a living example, walking, breathing, eating, sleeping, dancing of what it looks like when you glow from the inside out. I think, you don't just change your inside. It comes out and you become a vibe. So practice forgiveness. And the third thing, what is my third wish? I didn't learn this until this year. Whew. Olga, oh my gosh, you're great. How you can bring this out in people. But learn self-love. You hear it, you read it, people talk about it, but like really practice it. Because I didn't know, I really didn't know what self-love was until this year. I practiced starting last year, and it's very liberating, and you really find peace. So practice learning what self-love is because it's self-care.
Thank you so much for, and thank you so much for being vulnerable. It's the best thing.
Thank you for having me. I just adore you. I love you to bits. I do. And I hope you know how to find me. So come visit. And when you do, say hello and let me know you saw me on Yellow Birdie's podcast. Thank you. Big hugs, Olga.